Welcome to the Marketing Millennials, the No BS Marketing Podcast. I'm Daniel Murray, and join me for unfiltered conversations with the brains behind marketing's coolest companies. The one request I tell our guests, stories or it didn't happen. Get ready to turn the up. We are back with another episode of the Marketing Millennials podcast. I'm here with Paul Reiss, founder of Protein Pints. Excited to chat to him. I want to go a little bit in your story because you dropped out of college to do this. It's like what made you decide to go all in on this business?
Yeah, absolutely. So I dropped out of school in 2022. I was a junior in college with 1 year left before I was going to finish my degree. And I was studying accounting at the time. And I think I had just one of those life moments where I realized like, maybe this isn't what I want to do for the rest of my life. And that's what, that realization was what led me to drop out of school and, give it my all towards starting a company.
And let's go to like, obviously protein as a category is like crazy. Like there's protein, like everything out there. So what made you decide protein ice cream? Like what was that pain that you're trying to fulfill? What did you see in the market that other people didn't see?
Well, I think that this was just a product that I began creating for myself in something called a Ninja Creamy at home. And if you've ever heard of a Ninja Creamy, it's basically just like a do-it-yourself ice cream maker. And I would mix protein in it and make that product at my house. But I realized very quickly that there was no protein ice creams on the market, like at the store. So the problem with the Ninja Creamy was I had to go and buy ingredients and wait, freeze the mix overnight just to create this protein ice cream product. Whereas I really wanted to just eat it, right away, grab it from the store. So I realized that there was that gap in the market, that millions of people were making it at home with their ice cream maker or Ninja Creamy, but the product didn't exist at market.
And when did you... So you saw that it didn't exist. So how did the brand come about? Like how did you decide the name? How did you decide what flavors to start with? Like how did that process go?
Yeah, it really starts like all the way back to my childhood with my best friend, Michael. So we met on the school bus in kindergarten. We were both 5 years old and we got a really cute photo I can show you after the podcast, but it's just us, eating ice cream when we were kids, and we were very entrepreneurially minded. We were like the kids with the lemonade stands. I remember selling Pokemon cards on the bus, trading, just doing ideas every different summer. And in 2021, Michael and I, we were in college at the time, we decided to create a spreadsheet where we would write down one business idea every single day. And this was really just a fun exercise. We weren't at that point, like we're going to start a company, but it was just for fun. And one of those ideas was Protein Pint, high protein ice cream, a snack that you could, enjoy without the guilt of traditional ice cream. And that's really the first instance of the name Protein Pints was in that spreadsheet and writing down that idea.
I love it. It's a kind of a early manifestation of an idea. Also, like I get that entrepreneurial drive. I was an entrepreneurship major in college, and then I was like president of entrepreneurship club. So I know that I was around all like kids like that in college who were just like ideas, and then just trying random things and seeing what sticks. So I think that's pretty cool. So name comes about. So what was the process like getting it to a store, like trying to get it into your first couple of stores so people could actually do it? And how did you get I should go back to the one part before that. How did you start testing what ice cream works to like with the audience and picking flavors, and then how did you get it into your first store?
Yeah. So what happened, we had the idea in 2021, ended up going back to school and then dropping out a year later in 2022 and opened up that spreadsheet, and something just clicked where we saw the protein pint ice cream idea that we had, and we were like, this is the one. So Michael and I decided to go all in on the idea of protein pint ice cream, and we need to create a product, right? So the first step was buying the ingredients and making it at home in our parents' kitchen. And what we would do is we would, give it out to our friends, our family, and just try to get as much feedback as possible. But very quickly, we realized that we needed professional help, right? Because Michael and I are two college students with no background in food, no background in nutrition or chemistry, what have you. So we needed to find professional help to create a really good protein ice cream prototype. So what we did was we looked in a 100-mile radius of our house in Grand Rapids, Michigan, for an ice cream shop that met very specific requirements. Namely, we needed an ice cream shop where they made everything from scratch, which I didn't notice at the time, but it's very rare for ice cream shops to make their mix from scratch. Like, a lot of them will get the mix brought in, or they'll just get tubs of ice cream shipped in, but very rare for them to make it from scratch. So we ended up finding, a local ice cream shop where they did make it from scratch, called Love's Ice Cream and Chocolate. And what Michael and I did was we went and applied for jobs there at the local ice cream shop. And the owner, Chris, he told us that all of the back of house jobs where we could learn how to make ice cream were already full. But we told him about our idea, and he agreed to kind of come on board and start helping us with our formulations, and also teach us how to make ice cream with something called a batch freezer, which is what the piece of equipment he had in the back of his shop that could really start turning out a few hundred pints a day, which for us was a lot at the time.
That's amazing. I mean, that's cool. I love that, like, the beginning scrappiness of this, like, of first coming up with the idea, making it yourself, realizing that, like, you only could probably make a couple a day. You probably didn't have enough freezer space, and then you gotta go then find someone else. How did you get your, like, first, like, deal with a store to get them on shelves? Like, how did that come about?
So that came through our very first event ever, which was a local kind of pitch your business event in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And basically, it was an event where you could have a booth, kind of like a farmer's market, but they would have these judges walking around. And so Michael and I, we applied with our idea for protein pint ice cream, and we got accepted. And so we created a booth, we created the materials, we used the local ice cream shop to make a bunch of samples to hand out at the event. And we made like a Google drawing logo at the time. So it was all very, very bootstrapped. And somebody from a retailer called Meyer, which is a Midwestern retailer, was walking around at that event. And they saw our booth, and they saw the crowd that was, there, and all of the people that were so excited about the product. And I think that they saw potential. And so they gave us their business card at the end of that event and basically helped us to get into our very first Meyer store.
And so you get into your first store. I mean, so getting into the store is like one thing, but then the next part of it is like making sure that the sell through and people are selling. So what did you do to make sure that, like, you were getting these products off the shelves, like people were actually buying what you're making?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're only in one store, it's really easy, right? Because you're just in one store. So you can do events in your local marketplace, which is what we did. We were going out to, like, marathons. We were going out to gyms. We were going to farmers markets with these little samples and basically doing two things. We were asking everybody for their feedback so we could continue to improve our brand, improve the product experience, just improve everything about the product and really learn, who our key consumer was. And then at the same time, we're sending everybody into our store that we're in. And basically, we were selling out every single week at that point.
That's amazing. I love like, so the one store you did probably like localization events, like you were trying to sell, but then it started to spread and you got into like hundreds and thousands of stores. What are you doing now that you've got into all these stores to make sure that like, hey, like brand recognition? Because now like they are, I don't think there's many protein like branded ice creams, but they are like the ones like the Halo Tops and like the ones that are close enough to like healthier for you ice creams. So how are you competing against those type brands?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started with, the local just stuff in our geography. And now we're marketing towards for mass awareness. And I think this was something, really interesting about marketing that I realized very early on was we were the first movers in protein ice cream at the time. Really, like we were the first protein branded ice cream. And I was like, we're on such a good idea that we almost need to stop marketing or only market in certain channels so we don't go viral and we don't blow up and we don't do too much marketing. Because what I was afraid of what was going to happen was two things. Other people would see our idea and kind of try to copy it early on, and we would lose that runway. And then B, if a video goes viral, let's say, and we're only in one Michigan store, right? But it goes viral nationwide, you just lost all of that business. So I think a common misconception when people start marketing in CPG initially is like, I'm just going to do everything I can to go as big as I can, as fast as I can on the marketing side. But often, like, that can actually be a mistake. You have to have controlled marketing depending on what stage of the business you're at.
And it also makes sense. One, early mover. Two, like there's also inventory to fulfill, and if you don't have the inventory in market, they're gonna probably go to the next option because they're like, oh, I've seen this option, and you only can capture those people for a certain amount of time. So if it's only in Michigan and they see an ad, like something in California, they're gonna go pick up another brand and forget that your brand even exists. But I also want to talk about, so you got into many stores, you started doing smaller marketing and then controlled marketing throughout. And then what made you decide? Because a lot of people do ads or they do other things, but you decided to, well, first, how did it happen? But you got a partnership with like the San Diego Padres. Like, how did that come about? Like, why San Diego Padres? And how has that helped like Protein Pints?
Yeah, totally. So our chief marketing officer is actually from San Diego. So he had a prior relationship with the Padres. So he ended up, doing a process and vetting different sports partnerships to see who would, kind of be the best partner for us. And ultimately, that was the San Diego Padres. So why that's really important is California is, Protein Pints number one market for all of the 50 states we're in. So we want to really get behind that market and invest. And through the San Diego Padres, it's just been an incredible way to do that and create excitement locally in that market.
That makes it, I mean, I'm from San Diego, so I get it. Like the wellness communities, the people who like are trying to, like San Diego is one of like the biggest wellness communities probably in the country, probably at least top 5 in the country. So making sure that you have that control, like you said before, that controlled awareness in a place. But now it's like not really getting as controlled because you were in, how many stores are you all in right now?
So currently we're in around 15,000, which I'll mention, you know, in 2023, we were in one store. In 2024, we jumped to about 14 stores. And then we went to almost, 8,000 last year and then 15,000 this year. So it's just been an insane ramp up and scaling period.
How did you handle each milestone of scale? Because that's like some brands take years to get to like where you are, and you're there in 3-4 years. So how did you like make sure your inventory planning, make sure you get capital to make sure you could do this, make sure like the brand is strong enough that when it's in all these stores, people are actually like buying this product?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And it really comes down to the product and the brand. So, in the first 2 years when we didn't have distribution nationwide, we just were in, less than 14 stores. We did over 10,000 local sampling interviews with people in our community to get as much feedback as possible. And then this whole process of getting the feedback and then going back to the drawing board and improving every single aspect of the product experience and that branding. Because I think I realized that if our product was something that immediately caught the attention of the passerby and stood out, that was going to be worth millions or tens of millions in marketing dollars, right? So having that very distinct brand logo and mock-up and colors on our pints has, gave us the opportunity to scale that quickly because the product sells itself. And that is the most important thing, I would think, in marketing. Does the product sell itself? And if it does, everything else in the business can be built upon that foundation.
Yeah, I mean, one, the name's great. It like tells you exactly what it is. It's like not something that's different. It tells you exactly what you're getting. It's protein pies. Like, you're gonna, when you pick up that, I'm gonna get ice cream with protein. So at least that. And then like there's a specific audience for that. There are people who are going to the store and want better for you ice cream or better for you any snacks. Like they're looking for, and there's a whole community that's like scrounging around to look for like better for you chips, better for you this, better for you that. So I think I wanted to ask you though, do you think, how long do you think this like protein, because you kind of hit it at the right time, right? Like everybody started like you hit it right before that protein was like at its like peak. I wouldn't say peak. I think it still will always be important, but you hit it right before like everybody was like getting protein this, protein that. How long do you think that like this protein craze is going to keep going on? And like, how are you thinking about the future to like sustain like that popularity of this craze?
Totally. Yeah, I think, protein is an essential building block of life and all human beings need it. And really it it serves the body and, us as human beings in so many different ways, whether that be metabolism, whether that be brain function, if you want to, or if you're going for certain goals, fitness goals like building muscle, it just has so many different use cases for so many different types of people. I think I read recently that over 200 million Americans regularly use some kind of protein product in their day-to-day life. So just thinking how crazy that is, and I don't think it's going away, that's for sure. But I do think that the market is becoming saturated in a way that there can only be so many protein products, right? So I think what's going to happen is like, for example, for ice cream, we were kind of the category movers, and and then there's going to be a bunch of other ones that kind of follow in our lead and are following in our lead, but only a few of them ultimately are going to make it because there's only so much room on the shelf in the stores for specific brands, right? So kind of like what happened with Halo Top, where you know, 20 to 30 low calorie ice creams came out very quickly, but a lot of them were discontinued and only the best ones remained, like Halo Top.
Yeah, and I think that happens in a lot of the markets you see is the ones with the better like you said, better product, better brand, better recognition are going to be the ones that sustain. Like the ones that are probably forgotten are the ones that probably didn't have the best product. I wanted to ask you too, like where, like you probably fought through a lot of like, I would say like people telling you like this is going to be hard, this is like you're too young, like why are you starting this? How did you get over that hump of like, okay, I'm building like an actual business, I don't care like how old I am? Like for people who want to start a business, like how did you get over like criticisms and people telling you that this might not be the best idea, or like why are you doing this, why didn't you finish college? You probably have heard it all. How did you get over that hump?
For me, I think it was it was easy because not easy. Obviously, it was very difficult and challenging
Yeah.
sometimes, but I've always loved our product. I've
Mhm.
loved what we created, and to this day, I still eat, you know, 2 protein pints every single day. And I've done that since we started the company, you know, 4 years ago. I've been eating our product every single day, and I think that reminder, when I take a bite and I'm able to enjoy it, what we've created, and just realize like, wow, this is incredible. It's just reinforced that faith that I have in our mission and what we're really providing to people and how we're serving people and bringing that joy. I think it's really easy when you can connect how you're serving, the consumer, how you're serving people and your mission to the everyday challenges and, the quote unquote eating glass part of starting a startup.
I also want to go, and then you said it earlier, like you did 10,000 tastings, like over 10,000 tastings in your area. Now that you've like expanded so like into 15,000 stores, how are you doing like new flavor testing? Like when you come out with a new flavor or come out with like, what does that process look like when you're trying to come out with a new flavor or a new product line that you're trying to introduce to the market?
Yeah, a lot of it, we actually, for new product lines and new flavors, these are, years out, or things that are happening very soon, but we, had the idea years ago and have been
Hmm.
working, 4 years to develop it at this point. And yeah, it goes back to a lot of consumer feedback. It goes back to looking at the data, not only in what's doing the best in ice cream, but what's doing the best in protein. Because some flavors that are obvious in ice cream might be different than protein. And because we are combination, the crossroads of protein and ice cream, we need to look at both of those categories and data sets to inform our decision making on, what flavors, what trends to do. I think too, what we're seeing is novelties and snack sizes are huge. So I think that is a big part of where the market is moving right now is towards that more snackability and smaller portion sizes because consumers are looking, for those use cases in their daily lives.
I think that's a good insight. I feel like I think part of it's probably like the like GLP-1 craze too, where people want on the go like quick snack. They don't want to like eat the whole pint by themselves. Like they just want like that. I want my portion, and then like I also think that I mean I'm interested like how like you said you like looking at flavors, like how does that like research go? Do you have like a team that does that, or are you constantly like going to stores to be like, okay, here are the new ice cream flavors, or here are like the top five flavors that I see like this protein shake brand is releasing, or how does that look like doing this market research to also to like know the next trend, like GLP-1 like was not a big craze when you really started this. Now it's like a huge craze. Gluten-free protein was a big craze, and I know that you have that in your branding, but now like GLP-1 is a huge craze. This is probably going to be a new craze. Like fiber is probably like the next huge craze. Like, how are you keeping up with all like the trends in the wellness space?
Yeah, yeah, I think it really comes down to the team that we have, because in my mind, I'm always thinking, coming from the perspective of, okay, what is going to sell the best and what are consumers going to love the most, right? That's how I'm thinking about it. But it might not always be that simple because, Chris, our chief innovation officer, is coming through it with a different lens. He's thinking, well, what can I actually make with the stipulations of our product? Like making certain flavors is really difficult because we need to be high protein, 30 grams, under 500 calories, gluten free, low sugar, all natural ingredients. So some flavors like we can't even create because they're so difficult with all of, the ways that we want to craft our product intentionally. And then like on the sales side, our sales officer is saying, well, here's what the retailers want, right? So it's just all of these different angles and departments on our team are all coming together, bringing their, perspectives and points of view, bringing the data that they're learning from their different departments. And then we have to, you know, come together as a team to decide, okay, what's going to make the most sense given all of these different facts.
I love that because I used to work for like a snack curating company for businesses, and we had like a whole list of like ingredients that we weren't allowed in our boxes, and we like it was like this whole like we had like RX bar. This was like 10 years ago, but RX bar in there, and like popcorners and all the brands that are like big now, but back then was like these small, and it was basically like a sampling system. So I understand, like, I like that you have guardrails for like, this is what we're never going to go, like, we always are going to stick to good ingredients. We're always going to try hit out 30 grams of protein. We always need to be gluten free, and whatever flavors fit into that the guardrails plus that are our will sell. I mean, that's like the ultimate goal too. Like, you have to create something that will sell and taste good, have to fit in those guardrails.
No, you're exactly right. And it's challenging because I don't always, get my way, you know. At the end of the day, like I really believe I am still like that same kid who just loves ice cream. And I'm always like, I might want one flavor for myself, but that might not be the right flavor that we need to create for Protein Pints. So I don't always get my way.
Yeah, you just can go make yours in your Ninja Creamy if you really need it, and then you could make the one. That's like the hard thing about business too. Is like there's things like at certain part is like you have to go where the market goes, because that market keeps you in business, which is like market tells you where you, and I bet you get tons of write-ins and people telling you like, please create this flavor, I really want this flavor, or I really want that flavor, or what would be
Yeah.
really cool. Or you probably see, I mean, with the age of like what goes viral now, you're probably seeing people who make their own like Ninja Creamy creations that go viral, and people are like, oh, I really want something like that. And I don't know if you looking at social at all, but there's probably like trends all over that are giving you high signal that this will be a good flavor to create for Protein Pine.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And I'll see stuff on social and people will be like, Ninja Creamy is way better than Protein Pints. And I'm like, that wasn't the point of this product, right? Like at the end of the day, like that's how I started, you know. We created this company to serve people, right? And to create value for people. Like the market is moving in a better direction. It's not easy to see like more people want to live better lives through their food, right? And just be more intentional through their food, because what we put into our bodies does affect how we feel and how we live our lives. So I think more and more people just want to be conscious of those things, right? So I don't necessarily like look at it like this is better than this. You have two options. It's your job, right, to decide what is best for your life.
I agree. I mean, I also think the Ninja Creamy, the people who do Ninja Creamies, not necessarily like your market. I'm the type of person who doesn't want to spend time going to like bring home my ingredients like you did before, put them in the freezer or like freezing it overnight and then waiting for my ice cream. Like I don't want to go through that process. Like I don't have time to go through that process. I want whatever I like, that protein ice cream now. I don't want that. And people who are doing, if Ninja Creamy is better, but it still takes time. You still need a Ninja Creamy. You still need the ingredients. You still need to make it. You still need to go through that whole process of doing it. So, and some people hate that process, and that's like you're not fighting against that. You're fighting against like the choice paradox of good or bad, not good or bad, but better for you. I don't really think there is good and bad. I think like if you hit your calorie goal for the day, anything's good. So I mean, better. They are better ingredients though. Lastly, like I want to ask, like what are you thinking about this stage of marketing? Like I know you talked about a stage 1, stage 2, and like what are some things that you're betting on now that you're in 1,500 stores? Like what are some things that you're thinking about for the next phase of growth?
So I think once you get to a certain stage, right, you're going to be doing, there's a lot of stuff brands do the same. So like the shopper marketing, some kinds of field marketing. In terms of where I really see us being able to have an advantage and see the market moving is Instagram and TikTok. I really believe that the brands that get behind those apps and are making content that connects and entertains with their audiences are going to win. And less about selling the product and more like how can we connect and add value and entertain the audience versus like here's my product, buy this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on board with that. I'm an organic social person. So I think that I truly believe that paid advertising is only going to get more and more expensive as like these companies who are running paid advertising have to hit their revenue goals each year. And the only way to hit their revenue goals each year and grow is to raise cost of advertising for that platform.
Yeah.
So if you don't have your own audience or create an audience of content of like that people love and enjoy and create brand, which you've talked about a lot with like name, product, content's probably the next another distribution, partnerships with sports teams, things like that, making you more recognized as a brand. Lastly, I want to ask you, ask everybody in this podcast, what's a marketing hill you would die on?
A marketing hill I would die on. Like, you want to explain the question?
Yeah, like you said earlier that you believe like you should do controlled marketing for every phase. Like that's a hill you could be dying on, that some CPG people don't do controlled marketing and they just blast marketing. That's a hill that you would, like an opinion you feel strongly about in marketing that's maybe different than other people thinking.
Yeah, I think simple is better in marketing. And I don't know if that's a controversial opinion or not, but I've always believed that, and sometimes getting to simple can be really complex. I think the brands that can cut through the noise and immediately explain what the product is within half a second or less of seeing the product on shelf are the ones that are going to win. I think that's what is really separating the brands that are winning, because we just have so much content being thrown at us, in this day and age, right? It's more than ever before. We have so many things coming through us, phones, laptops, TV, with all the screens, the advertising. if you can't communicate immediately what the product is within half a second or less, I don't think you're going to be as effective and win nearly as much as if you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll double down. Like people always think like simple means like easy or,
Yep.
but it actually, if you really understand what you're doing, simple is hard. Like trying to take a 500 word piece and try to strip it down to like its bare bones is one of the hardest things to do as like a copywriter or a writer. Like convey what you want to say in 500 words and like 200 words and see how hard that is, and what word, like every word, every color, every choice you make is conveying something really strong to the audience. And it's different word choices, and it's so hard to do. So I'll double down on that too. Lastly, where could people find you, and also where could people go like buy their next protein pie?
Yeah, so we're in 15,000 stores. Our website is just proteinpints.com. We have a store locator there. Our big retailers are Kroger, Sprouts, Target, Albertsons. And you can find me. I'm Paul Reiss. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram. Would love to connect. And yeah, happy to chat and just share my story. I love talking about it and seeing other people win.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. This has been great.
Thanks so much for listening. Keep tuning in to hear more great insights from the coolest marketers from around the world. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and follow the Marketing Millennials podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you hear, I would greatly appreciate you giving us a 5-star rating. It helps bring more marketers into our community.